One day, on the planet of Coruscant, I remember making my normal rounds, checking to see if anyone for the most part needed help. It wasn't as if anyone couldn't stop me, but I suppose you could say I was cocky enough that no one would give it a try. It was then that I saw a little girl being dragged in chains by one of the gangs that I have been chasing down. This long black-haired girl seemed almost emotionless. The men abused her and dragged her along as was normal here, but she did nothing. She was almost unresponsive. But I knew for a fact that she wasn't there by her own will. She was there because of theirs. After killing the men, I let the girl free. But all I got back was a blank stare. It was almost as if she had lost all sense of feeling, emotion. My first thought was that she was unfortunately brain dead, so I tried to guide her to a Republic outpost, or a medical bay or something that could help her. She seemed to have suffered some minor wounds, but all she did was stare. She didn't talk. She didn't study me. She didn't even ask me what was I doing. It was nothing but a blank stare. When we finally made it out of the lower cities, I decided it would be a good idea to try and talk with her a little bit. I wanted to make sure that we had our story straight. I didn't want to get up to the Republic security and they tried to accuse me of kidnapping. That wouldn't help me or her. So I sat us down at a bench in the park and I tried talking to her, but she just answered me back in a stare. My first question to her was, did she have any family? Anyone that I could take her to before I took her to Republic security? I did get a response out of her, though. She slowly shook her head. I said, okay, was there anyone else that you might know that can take care of you? She looked in the way of the Centaur and still shook her head. I dealt with cases like this before, but they normally did talk. This one said nothing. Again, responding in that stare. I then told her that I was going to take her to Republic security to see if they could find a place for her, but that exhibited no response. She grabbed my hand and stared into me. It was as if she was afraid of the Republic for some reason. I didn't know what to do with her. I said, all right, if she wouldn't go to the Republic and she didn't have any family, and she looked almost my age, then the best thing that I could do was take her to an adoption agency. I am no parent, and she would be in danger with me. While we were on our way, it turns out those guys had reinforcements. We were cornered and pushed into an alleyway where those men disarmed me and began to slowly take her away while beating the living crap out of me. I tried to stop them, but I was powerless. I was only 15 then. And while I was on these streets for about 2 years now, it didn't help me. I was still too weak. It was then that something strange happened. They tried taking the girl one last time, but the next thing I knew, one of the men was slammed into the wall. The other man had a trash can thrown at him, and the other was launched across me. It was unreal. I realized exactly what she was now. She was a Force user, and she just used the Force to get rid of these men. I wondered why she didn't do that before, but it didn't matter. We are safe now because of that power. It was then that I decided it would be a better idea to keep her with me, rather than taking her to the agency. The only thing they would probably do is try to submit her to the Jedi, and she seemed rather hostile to the Republic. So I kept her with me. And we traveled around doing the exact same thing I have been doing, helping the people and getting rid of gangs. Eventually, she actually started to open up to me and finally told me her name. Her name was Milano Dunoa, and she had been lost on Coruscant for quite some time now. That last name of Dunoa was familiar to me. I remember hearing it when I was back at the Ansagan clan, but I don't remember why exactly they were talking about that name, so I just chose to forget it for now. As time went on, our popularity grew, which meant more enemies coming after us. However, 2 Force users with a lightsaber were more than enough to handle some bandits. But our reputation did indeed grow. We actually ended up getting the attention of a Republic privateer. Basically speaking, they're mercenaries that the Republic deem as exceptional. I won't lie, the way how he wanted to meet with us almost made him seem like yet another gang. But this guy evidently had some skill on him. And hey, he wasn't hostile. The man was named Gurindad Castagne. Apparently, he was quite impressed by me and Milano's skills, and thought that it would be a good idea to have 2 renegades, as he called us, in his force. It would only help the Republic out, and to ensure that he got some profit, as he called it. We agreed, and we actually started running missions with him. He isn't unbearable, but at the exact same time, it was evident that he needed somebody who could help him think. While I helped him, one of the Jedi he was friends with helped me and Milano. He gave us the basics of training, and taught me how to use Form 2 Makashi, and taught Milano how to use Form 5 Shien. Slowly but surely, he tried to convince me and Milano to join the Jedi, but we both refused. It's not that we hated them, but we have our own personal lives that we wish to live, and the life that we live now, while perilous, is still something that we've grown quite used to. I can honestly say, the smile on people's faces as we help them and get rid of their issues is, well, addicting. Time passed. Years went by, and me and Milano only grew in our strength, and eventually in our bond. We decided that we would try for a relationship, and after it went for quite a few years, Milano was pregnant. I was going to be a father. It was a shame. I didn't want to raise her under these circumstances, moving from place to place. I thought about settling down, finding a nice little home on a somewhat remote planet, and us just living out the rest of our lives. However, Milano had gave birth to the child long before I could realize that dream. But even with us traveling like this, it was still fulfilling. Milano was honestly terrible at thinking up names, so she kind of left the job of naming my daughter to me. Yeah, it kind of sucked that she threw that on me, but oh well. My little girl would have a beautiful name. So I spent a couple days thinking about it, until I finally figured it out. Mexico. Mexico Ladilian Sagam. For the next 6 years, me, Milano, and Mexico traveled all around the galaxy, doing the exact same thing we had been doing, but I was still trying to make sure to build that house I wanted to. It just would take time. However, my time ran out. Me, Milano, and Mexico were having a picnic on Alderaan, in one of its fields, until he came. A man, red of skin, wearing black armor, armed with a red lightsaber. Coming, demanding to take my daughter far away. I knew what he was. He was Sith, a pureblood Sith, armed and waiting to descend down upon a poor family, merely trying to enjoy their day. But no, Sith are normally preoccupied by the war. What the hell was he doing here? And then it dawned on me. A thought that I wanted to push to the back of my mind. He was here for a reason. He was probably after Milano or Mexico. I doubted he would have any use for me, but I know for a fact that he could take them. The 3 of us defended ourselves the best we could, Milano using her strange and unique ability of force push and speed, and me charging after him, making sure to distract him while I ordered Mexico to run. But it was no use. I was too weak. I couldn't stop him from striking Milano down and pushing his way past me, holding me to the ground and preventing me from moving. I had to watch him as he took Mihiko away, and as he killed my wife. I looked in horror, unable to move. Was it fear? Was it the lightning he coursed through me? To this day, I'll never know. But I failed. I failed to save them, leaving me with my dead wife. Alone. After that, I would not benefit any more being in Gurrandat's employ. So I went and joined another Jedi organization. Their name was Valor. With them, I thrusted myself into the war and killed every Sith and Imperial I could find. Hundreds laid at my feet, bloodied by my blade. But it wasn't enough. No matter how many fell at my hand, I couldn't find him. My anger and hatred was used right back at the Sith who weaponized it. Until one day, I found another. It was a regular mission for Valor. Go in, take over an Imperial stronghold, and make it our own. There, I found the Sith Lord, who seemed to have been guarding a girl. Of course, I killed the man. My anger and hatred far exceeded his. I knew how to use the full extent of my anger and hate. But I had also realized that anger blinds, and hate likes to forget. After I killed the man, he seemed to have ordered this girl that was nearby to run. I looked at the girl and realized what exactly she was. She was his daughter. She picked up her lightsaber, eager to go after me. In the depths of my despair, I struck her down as well. But when I did, I felt something gnaw at me. My mind filled with uncontrollable emotions. I saw me on the ground. I had taken away someone else's family. Originally, I just discarded the idea. Sith don't have families. They merely take. I had learned the way to kill them from them, inciting their anger and hatred to the point where they cannot control their normal actions, and then use my mind to strike them down, thus ending the threat. It filled me with such glorification. Every time I killed one, my mind relished in pleasure. It was as if I was on some sort of drug, and I just kept going back for more. However, the members of Valor begun to see my battles as me fulfilling some sort of bloodlust. They began to prohibit what battles I go into. I suppose that's fair. I had become almost uncontrollable in my actions. But they didn't prohibit me for long. And after they reassigned me, it wasn't long before I became commander of their forces. I led them against the Sith, achieving victory after victory. However, these were not fantastical miracles of strategy. They were small struggles at best. But they were still successful and led the Republic to many, many victories. However, something happened that changed. It changed my entire view. One day, I decided it would be a good idea to lead our forces to Balmorra. There, the Republic had sent us in order to capture a command post. When we arrived, we saw that the command post had very little security, so infiltrating their ranks was very easy. I was good at that as well, infiltration. However, when I reached the heart of the base, I saw that I had people waiting on me. They weren't soldiers, they weren't Sith, they were random civilians. They stopped me and asked me one question. Do you know what you have taken from us? I merely glared at them and brandished my lightsaber, ready to cut them down. But all they did was put their hands up. They were all unarmed and were standing before me, not as an act of violence, but of defiance. My mind wandered again to that dark and lonely place. In my mind, they were in my way. I did what I was meant to. When the screaming and motion ended, I was standing over a crowd of dead bodies. It was just like back in the Ansagan clan. It was then that I was strangely congratulated by the members of Valor. It was the strangest thing. I had just killed a collection of innocent people, but they congratulated me. And what was the justification? They aren't of the Republic, so it doesn't matter. Valor eventually fell apart, just as all organizations do over time. And I left with a decent collection of their units. I realized my honest sin. I was a murderer, one that did not care who I killed just to satisfy my itch. I was becoming the exact same thing I swore that day to destroy. I needed to find my own repentance. And that is what gave birth to the Ansagan clan of the Core Worlds.